All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday with my man Rio, talking some hoops. 8 games on tap. And man, it's March. In March, that means a lot of, the Q tags is very thin on an 8-game slate, but definitely plenty of people out. Definitely some value on this slate. Obviously some big spreads, but we do have a couple solid games in between here and there. But yeah, a lot of big spreads. Definitely the grand scheme overview on this slate. The nice thing is I always look at times, 7 Eastern start time. It ends at 8 Eastern. That is very nice if you want to do whatever you want in life or whatever. So, Rio, how are we doing today on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
Doing good. Really good night for the Shipping Nation community last night. Saw a bunch of people take down tickets and contests and all that. I was lucky enough to take down the $100 single entry last night with the late swap onto Jamal Murray and pods. Definitely helped me out there, but got very lucky with the Hugo Gonzalez going for, I don't even know what it was, 50 DK points. Just a massive game from him at pretty low ownership. So good night all around. Fun night of basketball. The Jazz played the Nuggets pretty hard. If that was any other game or any other season where the Jazz were actually trying to win, I would be definitely complaining about all the flops and all the calls that the Nuggets were getting towards the end of the game, but definitely happy that they came away with the loss because the tanking race is getting pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's part of the problem with NBA. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm still in the streets. I'm still playing dollars, of course, but I'm ready for some college basketball in 2 weeks and March Madness when you won't see anybody tanking. You will see every single kid out there trying their hardest. One of my favorite times of the year, but still money to be made. Prizes are solid. We got Michael in here. Marquis, good to see you, Michael. I haven't seen you a little bit. Marquis, AX, Mighty, Deacon, Paraby, Gangrene, Ricky, Nate D, Colin, William, Jake. Yeah, Hugo did smash. Did NBA get super tough this year? I can't cast for shit. DFS in general, as the years go, the harder it gets. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this, Rio? Is it harder this year than it was last year?
I wouldn't say it doesn't, like, it's not a standout year. I feel like every year is pretty difficult. Maybe there are some times where weirder things have happened this season because the tanking stuff kind of happened earlier, and that'll always shake things up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the competition, the DFS just getting sharper every year. So I guess just the overall game is getting a little bit tougher.
Yeah. Clint Wood, what's good to see you. Max Manning. It's not Matt Manning. I believe it's Max Manning. Good to see you as well. A lot of familiar faces in the Discord. Yeah, I want to shout out Rob Jack in the Discord. What was it, like $1,800 or something like that? It's like $30K plus in with a lot of tickets and a great night. You for the $100 single entry stuff. Definitely a great night in the association. And if you do want to find, like Rio wasn't on the show yesterday, it was Matt and I. He still does write up his slate plan right here. His core report, him and Matt, 2 high stakes crushers on the site. And you also do get Ham the man on FanDuel. Great FanDuel player. I'm on the cash reports. The Stone gives you usage, fantasy points, ownership, everything you need, color-coded. Showdown content. Little Neck does a phenomenal job. Again, I think it's the only showdown content in the industry, and Little Neck very, very sharp. You can see that Monday through Friday. He's also in the Discord. Projections ownership, of course, updated throughout the night. And DVP rankings, you can sort for the whole year and for the past 2 weeks. We'd love to have you at the Nation. ShippingNation.com. And you can click Join the Nation. You can get in as low as $9 with SaberSim for the day. Get you all the sports. $5 or $10 more dollars gets you 4 more days. 5 days for $19. That'll take you into golf this week. MMA on Saturday. UFC 326. Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway. One of the best fights you can make. Going to be a lot of fun. NASCAR on Sundays. NHL, of course, still going. Next thing you know, baseball will be here. So we'd love to have you. There's just NBA only as well if you're just playing the NBA streets. Wins a lot. Hope you're doing good yourself. Any broad slate, anything you want to do before we go game by game?
No, I just kind of alluded to it when I guess it was just me and you talking, but a lot of really big spreads on tonight's slate could make things very, interesting, I guess is the way to put it. But the 2 games that are going to be projected to be close have a pretty low total. So very unique slate in that sense. So I'd be curious to see what ends up being the optimal line tonight, or what ends up winning the tournaments. Because I don't know, just kind of it's a tougher slate than usual, I would say.
All right, I like it. Yeah, we'll go through the first game of the night, which is one of the close spreads that you were talking. Solid total, so 2.5 points. Favorites are the Detroit Pistons. 227.5 total in this one. No injuries on the Detroit side, and for Cleveland, no Donovan Mitchell, and Dean Wade is questionable. But yeah, I mean, close spread. This is two very good teams, though. Should be more playoff basketball atmosphere, and like all these guys are priced efficiently. Like we haven't seen D-Mitch for a bit. Harden's price up there. Jared Allen 7.7, Schroeder 5.2, Cade's 11K. Like you're not sneaking. You're not getting any like point per dollar smash in this spot, and there will be some with 8 games. So yeah, can you find like a low owned gem or two? Is Cade a viable spend?
I think he is, just in the sense that the spends are kind of like it's really just 3 guys you're choosing from up top. I don't necessarily love the matchup and upside that he has at this price tag, but definitely think you can play him. I think that this game will be very similar to the one that we just saw these teams played last week, obviously, and it was a win for Detroit in overtime. Detroit will be getting Isaiah Stewart back after the long suspension, and then James Harden returned last game. Looked like he was fine. They said there was some difficulty for him dribbling the ball, but I mean, the usage and all that was still pretty good here. But yeah, definitely gonna be a tough task for Cavs here tonight. Detroit is still second-ranked defense on the season. Cavs are 11th. Both teams are pretty vulnerable around the 3-point line. Detroit is 8th in defensive 3-point frequency. Cavs are 11th, but Detroit has been pretty lucky with their 3-point variance this season. Teams are just kind of gone cold shooting against them. So I think that if Cleveland can get hot from deep, there was a couple guys that we liked last time these teams faced off, mainly Sam Merrill and Jalen Tyson for that reason. But I do think that there's a chance that we could see a pretty hot shooting night coming from one of these Cleveland guys. And yeah, like I said, for Cade, definitely has flash tournament winning upside at this price tag, but it's not a great matchup for him. Cleveland is one of the best pick and roll defenses in the NBA. And if Dean Wade returns, I think that it would be hurting his upside a little bit, because they would have 2 pretty solid defenders throwing at Cade with Dean Wade and Jalen Tyson. There's definitely going to be enough cheap value that you can get up to him, so I wouldn't be upset if I had him as my spend up tonight, but I do prefer Maxey and probably Wemby more than him tonight. I don't really mind the matchup for Duren here. He crushed against them last time. The Cavs do struggle rebounding the ball. We saw him go for 7 offensive rebounds last game, had a huge game with Cade fouling out towards the end of the game here, or in that one. But with Isaiah Stewart coming back, upside probably capped a little bit from the minutes standpoint. They might be running a little bit of overlap with Beef Stew and Jalen Duren, because the Cavs do have so much size in the front court. But I don't think that we're going to be seeing those 34 regulation minute games that we have been seeing from Duren a couple games ago. I think that I would definitely have a little bit of interest in Asar Thompson, just because the minutes have bounced back in a pretty big way, and he's filling up the stat sheet, has 3 to 5 stocks in each of his last 3 games, and the Cavs do turn the ball over at times. I mean, if you remember when Harden was on the Clippers were one of the worst teams at taking care of the ball. They were always towards the bottom of the league in turnover percentage. So I think that there is a little bit of upside for him if he can get those stocks going again. The downside is that he will be guarding James Harden, and James Harden is going to be looking to get to the free throw line. He got 12 free throw attempts last game, so really not looking to shoot the ball, just mainly looking to draw some contact and get to the free throw line. On the Cavs side of things, obviously Harden going to have a really big role. He had 7.4 minutes of touch time last game, solid usage, 23.5%, but only 7 potential assists. So he ran really hot there, converted 8 of his 7 potential assists. So definitely ran really hot. But the 37 minutes was what I like to see, because he should be pretty full in a game that they would definitely want to win here. He's going to be guarded by Asar Thompson, like I said, and Asar's done a really good job limiting James Harden. Held him below 43.5 DK points in all but one game in like 5 or 6 matchups. So I'd probably be looking to be at or under the field on Harden, but he's not projecting for a ton of ownership. So maybe a little bit over if it stays in like that low single-digit range. I do have more interest in the field in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, though. 8.2K I feel like is a good price for Evan Mobley, and I think that the minutes restriction is probably fully off now. He played 37 in the game against Detroit last time out, so 32 regulation minutes. Really good for him. And the sample size between him and Harden sharing the court together is pretty small. He's just over 1 fantasy points per minute, but we do know that James Harden is really good at unlocking big games from his teammates, mainly in the front courts. I do think that Mobley and Jared Allen both have a little bit more upside than projection sources are giving them. So I'd be fine with those guys. And then I think that's it. Like, I like the maybe Sam Merrill overs in the 3-point betting market, but that's probably it for me.
I mean, yeah, this game outside of Cade is going to get like practically no ownership. And like you mentioned with Cade, even if you don't love him, you can easily spend, like, just sorting by salary on this slate, 3 players above 10K, and that's Maxey, Wemby, Cade. You can see all getting relatively similar ownership with Maxey leading, but you can play both of them or like 2 of the 3 pretty easily on this slate. There's plenty of value. I do think stars and scrubs will be somewhat popular. And then, yeah, like the Cleveland, Harden, Mobley, Allen, even if they look a little overpriced for point per dollar, you mentioned like you don't believe 29 minutes for Mobley. You think that's light. Harden 33. Like, if all these guys, you give them 3 more minutes, obviously their projection goes up a decent bit. They're not going to be owned at all. You have the money on the slate to do it. So what are your thoughts on, if you're playing Cade, are you more likely to play a Mobley, Harden? Does it not really matter that way? Like, hoping the game does stay close. And with a lot of big spreads, talk about it more on like a 3-game, 4-game slate, like trying to bink OT. Those extra 5 minutes goes a long way. But is there any merit to pairing Cade with one of those Mobley and Hardens?
I think it makes a little bit more sense than usual on this large of a slate, just because we have so many games that could blow out. And if this is the one that stays close, and like you said, it's a decently good enough game total that we could get ceiling outcomes from 2 guys in this game alone. So I wouldn't be making a rule that sets that, but I would maybe consider it if I was hand building to get like Cade and Mobley or Harden and Duran, something like that.
I like it. Hey, shout out to Colin. What's going on? Look at that. Found out my lady was pregnant yesterday. Will be a new father soon, if everything goes well. That is awesome, Colin.
Congrats.
I'll be thinking of you. That is awesome stuff. No doubt about that. So congrats. You need to get this baby money. Know the feeling for sure. Know the feeling. Congrats. That is really cool. And let me know when you find out if it's a boy or girl. If you do find out, you're always in chat, and definitely curious. I always love seeing that. And how you find out is also something I enjoy. So congrats to you and your lady, Colin. Awesome. All right, next game on the slates, Dallas Mavericks and the Charlotte Hornets. 13.5-point favorites are the Hornets. 228.5 total. Man, I mean, these Hornets have been super fun. Their starting lineup with like the Khan, Diabates, all that. I think I saw a stat like 18-2 when those guys are starting. Just super cool to watch. And Khan now minus 175 in the Rookie of the Year markets. We talked about that when he was plus 1,500, I believe was the number, way in the beginning. And then you brought it up either last week or 2 weeks ago, and he still was plus money. So if anyone got on that, good call there. Khan is the freaking man. Obviously, a little biased as he grew up, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes from me, but he's a hooper, no doubt about that. And this Hornets team is on a roll. In terms of injuries, no Kobe White for the Hornets, and for Dallas, Flag's doubtful, Clay's doubtful, Najee Marshall is out, Marvin Bagley is out. This is a back-to-back for the Mavs. And, yeah, I mean, Clay was somewhat popular, got hurt yesterday at halftime, so they're a little more thin, but you're going to ownership in this game. You're still not really getting anything, and part of that is because it's a big spread. But, yeah, how do you navigate this game? It feels like maybe one Hornet or nothing. It's hard to go to Dallas, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was just double-checking because I think that it was 2 days ago that Dallas played.
All these days get jumbled up. I mean, I know it was like a 4-game slate because I played Clay. He got hurt. I played Brandon Williams. He had a snowflake. So was that 2 nights ago, not yesterday?
Yeah, because yesterday was 4 games also, and they were not on the slate. So
yeah, that game was also for
it was Sunday. It was a 4-gamer.
Sunday, so it was definitely Sunday was more, but I played him at Chalk. They played the Thunder. Obviously, there was games throughout the day, so I can't remember exactly. But meanwhile, Clay got hurt. He was owned, and yeah, it wasn't yesterday, so I take that back.
Yeah, so Dallas looks like they'll be pretty shorthanded depending on what they do with all these G Leaguers. All these G Leaguers were practicing today, so I believe that they'll get some combination of like the Musa Cisse, Tyler Smith, and then they signed some guy named John Polakidas. I have no idea who he is or where he came from, but he'll get some sort of minutes at some point this season for them. But yeah, I was highlighting that the Hornets are 18-2 when all of LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Musa Diabate play together, and they have the best net rating of any 5-man lineup in the NBA by like 30 points, I think is what the next closest team is. So just absolutely crushing. They were very, very fun young core, and I'll be excited to see them get some playoff action this year and then maybe take a pretty big leap forward next year. As for this game for DFS, on the Dallas side, it looks pretty gross. They'll be getting PJ Washington back. Caleb Martin is probable, so they'll have enough bodies to fill things out for them. See Brandon Williams getting a little bit of ownership tonight. I would probably be playing against that. Just never a guy that I'm really excited about when the price gets up there. I think he's more of like a 4.8 to 5.1K player. There are times where he will go for 30 plus, but Jason Kidd just doesn't play him enough minutes for him to be getting this type of price tag. So I'm probably going to be a max one of Dallas tonight. And a guy that I do have a little bit of interest in would be Ryan Nembhard. They just signed into a full contract this season, played 24 minutes in his first game since signing against OKC, and Tyus Jones was also released to kind of open up more minutes for him. So I'd keep an eye on what they do with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he slides into the starting lineup at some point this season. Not exactly sure when that would be, but definitely going to keep an eye on Ryan Nembhard moving forward because he's still really cheap, and we saw him have a lot of success earlier this season. As for the Charlotte stuff, I think it's a great matchup for LaMelo and Brandon Miller in particular. The Mavericks are really bad with their on-ball defense as well as their rim defense. So I think those two guys being the main pick-and-roll guys for Dallas are the two guys I'm focusing in on. I do have a slight preference to Brandon Miller because I like the minutes upside a little bit better for him, and maybe the overall upside is just a little bit better for him at 7.5K versus 8.5 for LaMelo. I believe they play tomorrow as well, so they're going to limit him on one or two of these games, and it's probably would come tonight, I'd imagine. I need to double check who they're playing tomorrow, but this is a pretty meaningless game for them that they should be able to win pretty easily. You can definitely make the case for Khan, 7.1K, price is way up there, but he's going to get his shots up. Just prefer him in games against teams that are weaker against a 3-point or defending the 3-point line. So not really that spot for him here. Dallas is actually pretty decent at defending the 3-point line this season. And then Diabate playing a ton of minutes, and it's not really a smash spot in the sense that the Mavs they're not that bad of a rebounding team, but they are a really bad rim defense. He just doesn't take enough shots, but they do allow some stocks to opposing centers, and he's been filling up the stat sheet a bit as of late, played 30-plus minutes in each of his last 3 games since returning from suspension. So definitely some upside for him at 6K. I still think that's a pretty fine price tag. And then Bridges at 6.2, cheap enough. Don't have anything to say about his matchup. I think that he's fine, but I do think Miller is the guy that I'll have the most exposure to tonight on Charlotte.
Celtics are who they play tomorrow, which, I mean, obviously a way bigger game. If they are up pretty big in the fourth quarter, why would they run these guys? So it makes it tough. It's probably a max one Charlotte, and I don't really see myself getting any Dallas. I mean, Brandon Williams, like you said, going to come with maybe a little bit of ownership, but I mean, there's, I think, a lot better spots. I'm not confident Brandon Miller is playing blowout run if that's the case. Are you?
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah. You did mention a trend that you did notice. I feel like this slate is a little tougher because it's so unique with so many bigger spreads. Like a lot of that, I think, are like when there's 6 games and they're all relatively close, so you get like full amount of minutes. But you did mention that a little bit ago, that correlating multiple pieces on the same team, and I don't know if you said it, but it would make sense like in the same game as well. 2 on one side, 2 on the other, definitely can make some sense.
Yeah, more often than not, there's usually 2 guys from the same team on optimal lineups.
There you go. Good research from our man Rio. And you can find contest flashback on SaberSim if you are this on a starter or an ultimate package. You do have the ability to go and look at specific contests, whether it's the 888, see what Matt Bellman's doing, and the $100 single entry, see what Rio did, Rob Jack, the flagship. You can see percentages and like reverse engineer what some of the top players are doing to help you get better. Very cool tool. And again, if you go to shipination.com, you are able to get core, starter, or SaberSim or ultimate packages based on how much volume of play. If you're playing thousands of dollars a month, I think the ultimate would be something that I'd highly recommend. You can upload your ownership, your projections. You can sort right here as I'm sorting the average between ShipNation and SaberSim, but just like the flagship MME, you get that ownership. For high stakes, you can see how much it changes in this next game that we're talking about. So based on the contest that you upload, it'll sim out those contests based on what the field looks like. And obviously the field looks different in 150 max, $18 than it would at 888 with 500 people. So cool stuff there. A very powerful tool is SaberSim. Again, you can get that with our content over at chipandnation.com. Let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slate, Washington Wizards and the Orlando Magic. The biggest favorites on the slate, 16.5 points. Favorites are the Magic, 227.5 total in this one. On the Washington side, Leaky Black, doubtful. Doesn't mean anything, but we talked about Leaky Black. Good to see him, I guess, in the NBA. The UNC guy, Vukcevic is out. Keyshawn George is out. Anthony Gill is out. Jameer Watkins is out. On the Orlando side, Anthony Black is doubtful. I mean, so this is a back-to-back. I got it wrong yesterday with the Dallas stuff, but this is, and we're seeing chalk Julian Reese again. I know you were in Discord talking about him quite a bit yesterday. The foul trouble. I mean, the minutes were great. He did absolutely nothing. Jaden Hardy, someone I played a little bit yesterday as well. I mean, figuring out these Wizards is never fun. On the Magic side, Tristan da Silva, it was the Sunday slate. I appreciate it, Matt. He nuked on Sunday for his price tag. But yeah, with 16.5 points, like a Mo Wagner, I'm curious on here, like, can you make a case to try and play these guys that will get some normal run, but also would play potential end of fourth quarter or some more into the fourth quarter where their minutes are under projected? Break down this one. Definitely a very tricky game to talk about.
Did want to correct something real quick because Leaky Black is in. It was Anthony Black that's doubtful. So I don't know if you were looking at the. I
saw both. Again, I'm just looking at the RG.
He's off the injury report.
Okay.
So he'd be good to go. That would have given them only 8 guys if he were to miss. So they'll have 9 tonight. So a little bit different situation than we've seen from Washington this season, at least from this roster iteration. So I think it's a little bit easier to break down than it has been before. Julian Reese, I have like nothing good to say about his performance. It's just he's going to play so many minutes because Anthony Gill missed last game. He was trending for about 34 minutes last night, lost his last rotation, basically checked in and fouled out right away. Just a terrible per minute game from him, just 11 fantasy points in 27 minutes. Did get 3 steals, I believe, in that game. I would think that he's pretty safe for minutes tonight, and I think the matchup is much better against the Magic because Wendell Carter Jr. not really a guy that's going to be drawing as many fouls as guys like KD and like Alperen Sengun. We know Sengun is kind of like a baby Jokic. He'll just like put his head down and draw contact and then flop around. Wendell Carter Jr. not very involved in the offense, but the Magic are one of the teams that do attack the rim at one of the highest rates in the NBA. They're top 5 in offensive rim frequency. Washington, one of the worst rebounding teams and one of the worst rim defense in the NBA. So there's going to be guys coming to him at the basket tonight. I'm sure that they talked about him staying out of foul trouble because he's basically the last body that they have that's a true center on the roster right now. I can't not play him after playing him so heavily last night after seeing how many minutes he was trending for. Like, you just have to have interest in somebody like that that's mid-priced. So I'll definitely get to some of him. I'll be taking an underweight stance on Will Riley. I've seen enough. Like, every time I've played him, I think he's probably gone 2 for 20 from the field in the 2 times that I played him. He's just not a good NBA player. Like, he's really just not. And I don't see a reason to go there at chalk. So prefer to go elsewhere. They're going to have to play guys like Leaky Black and like even Bub and Trey Johnson and Koulibaly, Champagny, guys that they probably view as long-term roster guys in their team in the next few years are going to have to play minutes tonight. So I think you have to have interest there. Fine going back to Sharif Cooper, 21 points in just 17 minutes last night. The rules that I'm going to be setting for these guys, because I do think that you're going to want to get into this Wizards side of things. It's going to be max 1 of Bub and Jaden Hardy. They barely overlap at all. And I think that Bub is a guy that could play more minutes tonight, just with how thin they are. And then max 1, Trey Johnson, Sharif Cooper, max 2 of Riley and Leaky Black, Julian Reese, and Bilal Koulibaly. I do think that there's a chance that we get some more Koulibaly center minutes tonight, just with how thin they are in the front court. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to be for sure playing a good amount of Julian Reese tonight. 3K, just too good of a price tag to pass up for a guy playing that many minutes. And hopefully the field has they're still thinking about last night's slate and how bad he was, and just hope that he's like 25% owned, where he was like 40 to 50% in some contest last night. As for the Magic side of this one, the last time they played a tanking team was the Kings last month. They won that game by 37 points, but all their starters still played pretty solid minutes, 30 plus for Paolo, Bane, and Anthony Black. Obviously, Black is out tonight. The last time these teams faced off, though, the Wizards were much healthier, but Orlando got kind of blown out, or I think they might have come back and made it a close game, but their starters played like 25 minutes. And I just saw somebody in the Discord post right before coming on here, a little bit of tension between Paolo and Jamal Mosley. I don't really know how Jamal Mosley still has a job, because the offense that they run is just terrible. He doesn't really have the personnel to kind of overcome the reasons why they're so bad, which is just because they have no 3-point shooters outside of Desmond Bane. But still, it's kind of, I think that his time is come and gone there. But yeah, definitely have interest in Paolo tonight as a spend up at 9.4K. Really good matchup for him. He will see a lot of Koulibaly for however many minutes that they share the court together. But whenever Bilal checks out, going to be up against some really, really bad defenders. So I think it's a really good spot for Paolo to pay off his price tag. Even when they're projected to win by 15 points, I could see him hitting in a pretty big way here. He does have triple-double upside as well. So I think that Paolo is a fantastic spend-up option tonight. I'm a little bit more interested in Bane than I normally am. He's actually the better permanent producer than Paolo when you take off some of the guys that are going to be missing tonight's game. And he's really turned a corner in the second half of the season. Points per game jumping from 19.3 to 28 over his last 7 games, shooting 55% from 3-point range, 78.5 true shooting percentage over his last 7. The Wizards are also a bottom 3 transition defense, and we know that Bane is one of the better transition scorers in the NBA. So I do have a lot of interest in Desmond Bane here at 7.6K. As a guy that's not getting too much ownership, looks like Paolo and Suggs will both be getting more. Would definitely be a little bit worried about the minutes for Suggs, because he's returning from another back injury, and he's been pretty limited. Did take a ton of shots last game, so usage was really high. And this is definitely a game where he could flip the stat sheet, because there's going to be a lot of guys that don't have a lot of NBA experience on the other side of this game. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got like 4 steals. But I'm not confident that he's going to be playing meaningful enough minutes tonight. So I'll probably be taking an underweight stance there and over on Bane. We obviously love the matchup for Wendell Carter Jr., but just never a guy I'm super excited about looking to for ceiling. Would prefer like a Reese and Wemby pairing than any combination I would get with Wendell Carter Jr. personally. And then Tristan da Silva played a ton of minutes he has been playing a ton of minutes in his last 5 games, 30 plus. Generally a guy that I prefer to avoid just because he's such a bad permanent producer, but he'll definitely make the player pool tonight. It's a good matchup, and he's just playing too many minutes right now to overlook. And last 2 guys I mentioned, Javon Carter should be getting the backup guard minutes, been playing pretty well for Orlando. And he's playing a ton of minutes, 23. He's top 23 minutes 4 times in his 7 games with Orlando. And then, yeah, Mo Wagner, I think you can consider. He's projecting really well right now on SaberSim. I don't really think he's getting like he probably would not get the blowout run. I think they would go with maybe Isaac and Penda, Jace Richardson, Jed Howard, like that grouping. But he should get maybe 1.5 rotations in each half.
Dang, that makes it a little tougher. Center's pretty good on this slate. When you don't we're not starving for value by any means at 3,400. He's a good point per minute guy, but still on this 8-game slate, the 5x rule doesn't really apply nowadays. It's like a 6.5x rule if you're trying to really ship tournaments. The Paulo stuff's interesting. I mean, you brought up that he played over 30 minutes the last time they won by 37. I mean, if he's playing 30 minutes in this, because I'm seeing SaberSim projected for 34. You feel that's pretty accurate?
We're talking about Paulo?
Yeah, 16.5 point favorites.
Yeah, that feels right. I
would really like him there. I'm not sure he comes in 23% on, maybe. Again, you can easily spend up. People prefer Wemby. People prefer Cade and Maxey, I think. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. 23% maybe feels a little hot. Maybe the 18, 17 mark. But if he's playing 34 minutes, like you mentioned, these Washington guys aren't very good. He should get whatever he wants. And I almost like that little added motivate. I don't even know if it's motivation, but it's F you to his coach. I mean, going back and forth at it just – yeah, I mean, there's very few better matchups in the NBA right now than these Wizards. So, yeah, I guess you maybe like Paulo and Bane a little more than I thought.
Yeah, I like Paulo a lot tonight, but yeah, I mean the front office is going to side with their star player over Jamal Mosley, so it's not. I think there definitely is a little bit of motivation factor.
Yeah, I mean, almost any team like Ant. Oh my gosh, that was so cool to see. I mean, you say so cool to see, and then like I'm gonna teach my kids growing up. You know what I mean? You don't be talking to coaches and stuff like that. But when you get to that level and you're that good, and yeah, I guess you can kind of do what you want. You tell him to pass, and then he literally does the complete opposite. Is like double team, hand in the face, great defense, and still drills it. That's the definition of people talking the Kobe mentality.
You're not telling Kobe or Michael Jordan to give up the ball at the end of a game. Like,
but I mean, it was you don't see that very often. What about the Redick Luka stuff? Do you see that video? I don't watch those West Coast games. I don't watch nearly as much basketball as I used to, and you do for sure. But you think there's like animosity there, and you think, or do you think that's just like Redick? I mean, he was a player not too long ago. He knows the competitiveness. Luka knows it as well. I believe that game was kind of like a blowout when he got taken out, or like he wanted to stay in. So, was there anything to look into there?
I don't really know. Haven't really paid too much attention to the Lakers. I feel like they're just kind of irrelevant this season. But yeah, I mean, it's always tough.
LeBron's got to go.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like he's gone next year. All the signs point to him signing in Cleveland. Yeah. But it is tough when the age and like how recently the guy played in the NBA. Like, I don't know if these players like Luka and LeBron really take him very seriously, even though he's probably is a really good coach.
Yeah, no, I think he definitely is. But yeah, that's definitely tough. I mean, him going back to Cleveland, all this, but I don't know if I'm Cleveland that I really want LeBron right now. And I mean, I've advocated for LeBron for a little bit, but if a dude's not running back on defense, or if he's just sitting there, he's pouting and all that, like you don't need that on your team. You got nowadays to win, you need all five guys working as a unit. Look at the Charlotte Hornets. I mean, it's cool to see. So yeah, I mean that's a different topic for a different day. Jalen Suggs, did you mention him? You prefer Bane and Paulo?
Yeah, definitely think that he's. I mean, I talked about him, so just rewind a couple minutes.
There you go. All right, next game on the slate: New York Knicks and the Toronto Raptors. Close spread in this one at 2.5 point favorites of the Knicks. 221.5 total. No injuries to note on the Knicks side. Colin Murray-Boyles is out for Toronto, so the only injury news there. I mean, yeah, low total. No injuries really on both sides. Efficient pricing on both sides. That usually will lead, especially right now, to very low ownership. Mikal Bridges, what a game he had on Sunday against the Spurs. Brunson suspended at 9-1, but I think, you already liked Paulo. There's Maxey, there's Wemby, there's Cade. Obviously, Cade's kind of in a different price range, but I don't know. It feels a lot tougher to get to this game with a fully healthy team on both sides and good pricing. Is there anyone you're going to be looking at?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit interested in this game, just in the sense that the spread is close and these are two teams that are contending in the East. I mean, I don't really think Toronto is a player in the East, but they're, fifth in the standings right now. So a few games, I mean, they're still pretty far back. They're 4.5 games behind the Knicks, so not really a super big threat to overtake them. But I do think these teams will play this game really tight. So I do have a little bit more interest than the field is showing right now. These are two really good defenses. Toronto ranks 7th in defense. Knicks are 9th. But they both have very similar styles that they play. Toronto is bottom 10 in rim defense, bottom 9 3-point defense. The Knicks are bottom 5 in 3-point defense. And they are pretty bad in the Brunson plus Cat minutes, which is why we've seen Cat kind of get cut down a little bit in favor of Mitchell Robinson and some of these other guys. But Brunson has pretty solid numbers against the Raptors, depending on who they put on him. He's done great against RJ Barrett. I think that's probably the guy to go with. He's averaging 31.3 points per 75, 8.9 assists per 75. But the DraftKings scoring ranging this season from 20 as is low all the way up to 48. Just never really a guy that I've been playing a ton of this season, so I probably would be taking that similar stance tonight. I just don't really see him needed most slates, and kind of feel the same way about Cat now. Just been really he's down really bad right now, and he's just too big of a liability on defense. So he's always at risk to lose minutes anytime Mitchell Robinson is healthy and in the lineup. And on top of that, he should be seeing Scotty Barnes on defense. Barnes has shut him down over the past few seasons. Just 17 points per 75 possessions on 49% true shooting. Really, really bad numbers for Cat here. So I'm pretty off of both of the spend ups, but I do have interest in Josh Hart, OG, and Mikal Bridges, all kind of for the same reason. They're cheap enough at their price tags. Hart has good eligibility with the shooting guard small forward. But between these three guys, the guy that I like the most is Josh Hart. Teams have been putting their opposing centers on Josh Hart and kind of leaving him open and, having their center just kind of roam the paint a little bit to help off on Cat and Brunson. I think that they'll do that again here. And it's not surprising to see that his numbers against the Raptors are really good this season. He's averaging 21 points per game against them. I forgot the DraftKings point per game is, but he's been like in the 36 to 44-ish range pretty much in every game that they've played against each other this season. And then Mikal and OG both flashed a good amount of upside in this matchup. Mikal went for 42 last game, and then OG went for 54 in that one. So I think all three of these guys are in play. Do think Mitch Rob is in play here at 4.1K, but the center options are strong, like you said, so not a super big overweight stance there. But I'm definitely going to be a max one of Cat and Mitch Rob, and even more so now because they are starting to overlap a lot less these days. So it's a pretty easy max one. And then probably just max two the Knicks overall. But yeah, I do think that the Hart, OG, and Bridges grouping is pretty solid here. As for the Raptors, not very into Scotty Barnes or Brandon Ingram at these price tags, just really, really big price tags. Barnes is going to be guarded by OG and Anunoby more than likely, and he's failed the top 38 DK points in each of his 3 games versus the Knicks this season. Brandon Ingram, on the other hand, has done well against them, but when you get him up to 8.7K, the likelihood of him being needed is very, very slim, especially just with shooting guard eligibility. So off of him, I like the matchup for RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, but you could kind of say the same thing about IQ at 7.5K. Like that price needs to be below 7K in order for him to be playable. But I do think Barrett is probably the guy that's the best point per dollar option, as is always the case with Toronto. But 6.8K, decent price for him. In the first 3 games that he played against the Knicks, he went for 38.5 points twice and then 48 DK points in that third game, but been below 30 in each of his last 2 games against them. I don't really know who they're going to put on him. There's not a lot of data that says it would be anybody like Mikal or Brunson, but I would imagine, it might be Josh Hart or it might be Mikal Bridges. But either way, he's going to avoid the good defenders on the Knicks tonight. So I'm okay with Barrett. And then Jakob Poeltl, I think now he's starting to come into play with CMB out. He's played 26 plus minutes in 3 straight games, went for 35 and 44 DK points in his last 2. And we know that he is a very viable fantasy point per minute producer. So 5.3K for him, and he might be getting close to fully healthy again. So I definitely have interest in Poeltl here.
I think Poeltl's better than Mitch Rob, better than Cap, better than Mo Wagner, and pretty similar ownership to all of them. I think Jakob Poeltl's a very solid center play on the slate that isn't coming with too much ownership. I mean, that's a pivot off of if you don't want to play like Julian Reese, obviously they're different price in that way. But like when people don't play Reese, like a lot of people I think will play Wemby, or maybe they'll play Diabate a little bit, or a Bam or something. So yeah, I mean, I think he's a very strong play there. Right in the same price range as like Jalen Williams too, who I think is going to be more popular. I definitely like some Jakob Poeltl. You said you'd be fine with 2 Knicks, like your Hart Bridges. I mean, like Cat Hart. If you're doing that, are you playing a Toronto piece, or you're fine not?
No, I'm fine not doing it. But yeah, I would be fine if I had 2 of those tertiary guys like Hart, Bridges, OG, and maybe even Mitch Rob sneaks in some of those lineups.
Definitely would be very different. You can see just certain ownership on the Knicks side. No one projecting for over 10% right now. On the Toronto side, the same thing can be said. So yeah, close spread though. If you get, again, OT means more on a slate like this, and when a lot of blowouts are expected to happen, and this game is one of the more likely ones to go to overtime. Keep it rolling. Next game, Brooklyn Nets and the Miami Heat. We're looking at 13.5 point favorites are the Heat. 225.5 total in this one. Norm Powell is out for the Heat. Davion Mitchell is questionable on the Brooklyn side. Igor Demon is out. 2 guys getting a little bit of ownership, Bam and Tyler Hero, 2 mid-tier / spend up options. But again, with all the value on the slates, they're applied for 120 points, one of the most on the slate. I'm definitely interested in some Hero. Bam, I don't know. I kind of just mentioned 8.3K. He's in a price, is in a tier of his own. It feels like at center. Like I prefer Bam to Cat, but like people are going to go Wemby, or they're going to go more mid-tier and lower. So get an interesting roster construction. But yeah, I think Hero's pretty good no norm is very big. And yeah, if Davion Mitchell misses too, more ball handling.
You see that little circle next to the little filter icon under the BKN right there?
Right
yeah,
here?
under Brooklyn. Yeah, the circle with the dash through it.
Just X them out.
Just hit that one.
There you go.
Pretty easy.
All right.
But yeah, for the we don't need to spend any time on them. For the Heat side, though, I agree with you on Bam. It's just in that forgotten range of centers tonight that they definitely have upside. I think that it was the last time that kind of comes to mind was Duren in that same range against against Cleveland, where he was optimal, put up like 52 DK points. I think Bam is kind of in that same spot. I don't know if I necessarily believe the double-digit ownership. I feel like it could come down just because the value looks pretty good down low and Wemby up top, like you said, and some of these other guys might project a little bit better. But yeah, I definitely think Bam is for sure in play here. This is a spot we love to attack. The Nets have been one of the worst rim defense in the NBA, bottom 3 in rim defense, bottom 4 transition defense, also bottom 4 in turnover percentage. So good spot here for multiple of these guys. You can hear that, right?
Is that Daisy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. It's probably distracting you a lot more to talk about the game than it is.
Yeah, it's always distracting, but try to just power through it, and then I'll mute up real quick. A lot of interest in Bam, but a ton of interest in Khalil Ware for sure. He's tied for Bam with point per minute production at 1.25, and they've been talking about overlapping these guys a lot more, and they did last time. He played 29 minutes, so I think it's a great spot for Khalil Ware. I'm less interested in Tyler Hero than you are. The Nets are actually pretty decent against guards. They don't really run pick and roll anymore. Just the offense for Miami has just been different. But it's just not. I don't know. It just hasn't really shown the same upside we're used to seeing from Tyler Hero. So I kind of feel like he's a worse play at his ownership. If it is like, I see only 10% from Saber. I feel like it's probably higher. I think people are pretty excited about him.
The minutes, do you think he played 33 last game? Like he's slowly been creeping back up. I mean, like Saber has him for 30.8. That feel like if he's getting 34 or 35 is where I'm looking. And then it's even a bigger boost without Davion. But what do you think the minutes are? 33 roughly where he played last game?
Yeah, I would say that's probably – they usually like to keep these guys in that low 30s range.
Okay.
So I feel like that is the high end.
Does the Mitchell Q-Tag do anything for you? Like, obviously, they're going to run like Kasparis or Drew Smith more than likely at the point guard. But, I mean, it feels like more ball handling to go around.
Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily does enough. But, it'd probably be Kasparis starting and then Drew Smith getting the backup point guard minutes. It's a little bit worth noting that they pretty much were running like an 8-man rotation last game. Only, who was it? Simone Fontecchio, Drew Smith, and Kasparis. Nobody saw more than like 10 minutes last game, but that was a closer game. I think they'll probably spread things out a little bit more here. Hero is the best transition scorer for Miami with Norm sideline, so there's definitely scoring upside for him there because Brooklyn is so bad at defending transition. But I'm just not super excited about him at like somewhat chalky ownership and at a price tag that he really needs to kind of go for like 45 to 50 to really be like a guy you needed. That's probably it for Miami, though. I have a lot of interest in Khalil Ware, a good amount of interest in Bam, and then guys like Wiggins, Jaquez, Larson, Davion are all just sprinkle MME plays.
Ware and Bam together, or is that too tough with them both center eligible?
Yeah, if Ware was power forward or if Bam was power forward, I'd be fine with both of them. But it's just too much value you're eating up playing two guys from the same position on the same team.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, keep it rolling. 8 games on the slate. Not too much time to waste. I was laughing at my dog says hi. My dog barking now too. Yeah, people that have it on the TV or out loud hear that. That's got to be really funny for sure. Dogs are awesome, no doubt about that. Daisy, tell Daisy I say hi after the show.
I got you.
All right, next game on the slates. Memphis Grizzlies and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The trend continues. 14.5-point favorites are the Timberwolves. 236.5 total in this one. Injuries on the Memphis side. Ty Jerome, Cedric Howard, and Santi Aldama, all questionable. And then on the I'm not seeing anything on the Minnesota side. Is that correct?
Yep, they are pretty
Fully
clean.
healthy.
Yep.
I mean, Anta is a spend up that's not going to get 17%. I guess I don't know if I necessarily agree with or believe that. I'm curious of your take, but like Tyrese Maxey is going to be one people flock to. With no Embiid, like relatively close spread. I just think so many will go there. You can have two spend ups on this slate. I do think Wemby's more popular, maybe Cade. So I'm curious here if you think that ownership remains true. But yeah, I mean, I take it you're on the Memphis side, you're pretty much going to say hit that little circle thing with a slash through it. And then, I don't know, I'll let you talk about Memphis stuff. Maybe like a Nas Reed or Randall, something to get different in this game.
Yeah. First of all, Memphis, definitely another cross off. If anything, a max 1, but all these guys are projecting a really, really bad value plays. So all these guys we were playing, they're also priced up now. So it's just going to be impossible to get a needed fantasy performance from these guys with how spread out the minutes are. So off of Memphis for sure. But yeah, this is a good spot for Minnesota. Memphis is bottom 7 in 3-point frequency defensively. They've also been a really bad rebounding team. I expect them to get better with Santi and Cedric Howard back because those are two guys that do impact rebounding a little bit, but should still set up as a pretty good spot for Gobert and Randall and Nas Reed for rebounding as well, in particular. But I think I agree with the Ant ownership. It may be a little bit too high. It's just there's not a ton of spend ups that are really popping in a big way, and he kind of does project as a positive value. But he's cooked the Grizzlies this season, averaging 36 points per game against them, 49 DK points per game. I don't really see anybody on Memphis that is capable of slowing him down. So I think he's a really strong spend up option, 9.5K. Really nothing negative to say about him. Julius Randle has filled up the stat sheet against Memphis this season, averaging 22.3 points, 6.7 rebounds, 6 assists in 37 minutes per game. I think that he could get dialed back a little bit with Minnesota favored by nearly 15 points here. Rudy, probably too expensive. He's been rebounding the ball like crazy as of late, averaging 14.3 over his last 4. But 7K, it's a big price tag for Rudy. I do think that Dante, Nas, and Jaden McDaniels are guys that could flash up. So I think there's a good chance we might get a ceiling game from one of these three. I think Nas and Dante are guys that stand out here with Memphis really struggling to defend the three-point line. Dante's been shooting great in particular, 47% from 3 over his last 5 games. And then Nas has done really well against the Grizzlies this season. So I think both those guys are really strong plays. And the same thing for Jaden McDaniels. Like, he's just been playing great this season. So fine with him. But it would be max 1 of Ant and Randall, max 1 of Randall, Gobert, or just max 2 Randall, Gobert, Nas, and then probably like a max 1 of Dante, or max 2 of Dante, Nas, and McDaniels.
Would 3 be too many? Nas, Dante, Ant. Is that too many in this spot?
I could see it happening just because they have such a high projected team total, and Minnesota has been a team that will kind of leave their guys out there pretty deep into the games for blowout until like maybe the last 4 minutes and then run them out there. So yeah, I'd be fine with 3, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get buckets at will. It just, can Memphis keep up? And you definitely don't need a Memphis piece regardless. Like you said, they're one of the deeper rotations in the NBA. But, Jaden McDaniels, he's one of my favorite players. That dude he's someone I want on my team any single day of the week. There's no doubt about that. I'm definitely excited for another playoff Minnesota Timberwolves year. They always compete. There's no doubt about that. Reed or Dante for DK, I feel like that's pretty tough. You like both of them quite a bit. Sorting by projection, you see, it's 0.06 difference. Do you have a lean gun to your head, or comes down to positions, I think, more so?
Yeah, I'd probably side with Dante tonight if just positions were the same, but it really just matters how your roster construction lines up.
Yeah. Can play multiple lineups. You can definitely get overweight on both. Pretty easy on this slate. All right, let's go to one of the more popular games on the slate, I guess, at least in terms of some spots. San Antonio Spurs and the Philadelphia 76ers. We're looking at 8.5-point favorites for the Spurs, 232.5 total in this one. No injuries on the Spurs side to note. Philly, no Kelly Oubre and no Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey, like 31.5 point prop on this slate. I'm still in this like splash sports. So I've been, you need 20 plus from your guys every single night. So I've been grinding, looking at these points props markets. He took like 2 points overnight. The dude has been phenomenal this year without Embiid, even with Joel Embiid. Oubre also helps with none of him. So Edgecombe, I think, is interesting. Grimes, some value there. Curious your take on Barlow. Like, a lot of guys are projecting for over 5x. Drummond's getting ownership in this. And on the other side, again, with so much value on the slate, you easily can spend for Wemby if you want, just center eligibility. But yeah, if you want to play Maxey Wemby, there's plenty of value to do it on the slate. I mean, Dylan Harper showing, Drummond, Grimes. You can find some in this game alone. We talked about Washington value. So yeah, do you see yourself playing some Wemby Maxey lineups and then break down this game? Maybe Stephon Castle if you're not playing Wemby. Like, I always enjoy rostering him. So yeah, what are your take on this one?
Yeah, I feel like this is probably the best game to get overweight on, at least from like a stacking perspective. I could see this being the one that produces multiple GPP winning scores here. Obviously, for the Sixers, going to be without Joel Embiid for a little bit of time with the oblique strain, which is probably the best case scenario. It's not another lower body injury, so obviously oblique is not great, but I think they'll get him healthy going into the playoffs. I definitely think that they're a team that could make a push in the playoffs when they're fully healthy. But yeah, Kelly Oubre is going to be out tonight, and then obviously Paul George still out with the suspension, so they'll be fairly thin, and a team that already runs really tight rotations. I think that there's a ton to like about them. A lot of usage to go around that could really concentrate on a few guys. Spurs are fully healthy. Defensively, San Antonio's top 3 in defense. Sixers are top 15th, so right in the middle. But they're one of the worst rim defenses in the league and rebounding teams in the NBA. Do think it gets better taking Embiid off. Drummond, we know, is just going to camp the paint and try to grab every rebound. The head-to-head data for Drummond or Wemby versus Drummond or Adembona is really, really thin. There's not a ton of stuff there, but in limited sample against Drummond, Wemby's cooked him 46.5 points per 75 in 27 possessions, so just a handful of possessions. But should have a ton of scoring upside here just with how bad the rim defense has been for the Sixers this season. Really like the upside for Wemby here at 10.7K, starting to get full minutes for him as they kind of get him ready for more minutes in the playoffs. So I do think Wemby is a really, really strong spend up tonight. I'd be okay with Stephon Castle. The minutes have been pretty down for him. I think that it's by design, kind of keep his minutes pretty low. I think it's a great matchup for him. He will be guarding Tyrese Maxey. Maybe they up his minutes a little bit for more minutes against Maxey because we know Tyrese is probably playing close to 40 here. But with the Sixers being one of the worst interior defenses in the NBA, there's a clear path for upside for him as a guy that's looking to just get downhill to the basket. I think Fox is in play. I think Dylan Harper for sure is in play as a value at 4.4K. Reigning rookie of the month in February as well. But yeah, it's going to be max 2 of Fox, Castle, and Harper, max 2 of Castle, Fox, and Wemby. And then I think Devin Vassell and Champagne are guys that you can definitely keep in your player pool because they've shown tournament winning upside at times. Devin Vassell in particular is riding a hot hand right now. 18 points per game over his last 4 on 80% true shooting. Also shooting 66% from 3-point range. So really, really good stuff coming from Vassell over the past couple weeks. On the Sixers side, with all these guys out, obviously it's going to be pretty easy to get up to Tyrese Maxey at 10.1K. The Spurs will definitely be putting Stephon Castle on him, and we've seen Castle really make it tough on lead guards at times this season. Also, not a ton of head-to-head data against these two, but Stephon Castle is a plus defender, and with Wemby helping out behind him, I wouldn't be surprised if Tyrese Maxey does underperform at this price tag. Usage is obviously going to be really good for him. He's at 33% with Embiid, Oubre, and George off the court, just at 1.34 fantasy points per minute, which is fine for his price tag, not great. That's about average for somebody that's priced above 10K, but we obviously know that he's going to play so many minutes that the per minute stuff doesn't really matter as much for him because he realistically could play 40 to 42 in a close game. So I'd be okay with Maxey, but I wouldn't be surprised if I come in a little bit below projected ownership tonight. VJ Edgecombe is a guy that I'll probably get over on, though. I just think that he looks like one of the best mid-tier options on the slate. Been playing great as of late, averaging 20 points per game over his last 4. He's only at 1.02 fantasy points per minute, so not great either. But the minutes are going to be really strong for him, and he's only 6.6K. So we're getting a little bit of a better discount price tag going down to VJ. And then Drummond going to be looking at another start for Embiid tonight, coming off of a game where he filled up the stat sheet in a pretty big way, 10 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, 40.5 DK points against the Celtics. his range of outcomes is fairly wide because he's top 40 DK points 4 times as a starter this season in about, I think it's been 23 games that he started this year. But he's also been below 22 DK points in 8 of those 23 starts. So he's gone above 6x, his current price tag, 52% of the time, 7x, 26% of the time. And then, I'll probably be landing in like the 25 to 35% exposure range on him in MME, which looks like it will be slightly above field. What do we have at 17%? So yeah, I'll probably end up over on Drummond just because we know that he's a pretty capable permanent producer. And then Quentin Grimes, got to talk about him a little bit because he's going to be probably the chalkiest player on the slate tonight at 4.3K projected to start. He was coming in really strong over the past like 2 weeks. They were really getting him involved more on offense, coming off the bench. A lot of positive commentary from Nick Nurse about him, but coming off of 2 pretty big duds in matchups that should have been good for him. But I think the minutes will be really safe for him. He's averaging 35 minutes per game as a starter, 27 DK points per game in 7 starts. So that's really good for somebody at 4.3K. But I think he's slightly overprojected because he's more in line with like a 0.8 fantasy point per minute producer versus 0.9 that SaberSim has. So I think you could run that a little bit lower and then maybe get like around or slightly above the field on Grimes. I don't really have much to say about Barlow. This might be a spot where they get more minutes out of him for the Wemby matchup. He does know the Spurs pretty well because he was with them for a while, but don't really have anything to say about that. And then Adembona, always in play behind Drummond. Max won those 2 guys. I think that's probably it then.
I'm just trying to think of – I'm going to get to you, Yobi Trice. Appreciate the donations. I'll get to these in a sec. Like, the thing with Quentin Grimes is I'm trying to find – if you do want to spend up for Maxey, for Wemby, all that, you obviously have to go to some value. Like, Drummond looks strong. There's a couple good center options, but we're going to get to these OKC guys. Like, is there a handful of these OKC guys that you like more at ownership versus Grimes in that range? Because other than that, Tristan Da Silva, Dylan Harper, 2 guys that you liked a little bit. Mo Wagner, again, another center. OKCs will definitely be there, but like Jaden Hardy, I don't know. That feels a little difficult in a 1v1 situation. Is it OKC guys that you think are the best pivots there with Harper and Silva?
I don't know. Are they really? I guess they are comparable when you talk about like Jared McCain and Isaiah Joe.
I just think mainly if you're playing like if you're spending up at the guard position like a Maxey or a K, like it does. I'm looking at these positions kind of like you can flip flop them outside of the center position, but you know what I mean. Like Jalen Williams, Lou Dort still shooting guard, Wall shooting guard, small forward, even Kenrich power forward. I think I'm looking more at the salary base than positions on a slate like this.
Yeah. I do think I have Grimes ahead of all those guys mentioned, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This 34%, like that's going to be a lot higher. Let's see what it is in high stakes single entry 72. I mean, it's definitely not going to be that in flagship stuff. You definitely might see that in the higher stake stuff. But I mean, flagship alone, I think he's probably going to be 50-ish, right around there. He definitely makes a lot work on this slate. Yobi, appreciate so yeah, $1.99. Hardy's popping up. Do you think Cooper's better? He definitely was yesterday. Do you think that's an interesting pivot? Jaden Hardy will get some ownership. Sharif Cooper, can you make that as a pivot?
Yeah, for sure. I just don't really think Jaden Hardy's very good. Sharif Cooper might not be either, but at least he's been better from a fantasy standpoint this season. So I definitely would make that pivot.
And then we liked Maxey. Rio loved Edgecombe. Tristan Da Silva, yes. Riley, yes. Wemby, yes. Cooper just said. Kaysen Wallace is good and Reese is good. So, yeah, that lineup looks pretty good. I don't want people copying the lineup. Usually I'm a little hesitant to put stuff like that up, but we do appreciate the $4.99. And Reese's dud last night, a fluke. I mean, he fouled out. He was on pace for a ton of minutes there. So we talked about that a little earlier. We're going right back to it. He might not be very good. It's not the most fun click, but he's obviously cheap and allows you to spend up for a lot. So we do like it. Yeah, stack the game. We definitely, I think Rio said, in my opinion, probably the best game to stack on both sides when breaking it all down at different price ranges. Grimes is what Rio said. And then great to see you, Jordan, jumping in late. Hope you're doing well. You can find Jordan in the Discord always. All right, last game of the night. Before we do, I just want to show over 400 watching. Appreciate it, man. I don't recall this many people loving some NBA DFS this late in March, like last year and the year before. But the show, it's been awesome. Prizes are still there. Rio, the best in the business, breaking it down. If you do want to join us at the Nation, even when Rio's not on shows, you can find his Slate plan, NBA Slate plan. You can find his core report, as well as Matt Bauman, a very high stakes crusher, won 40K last week in the 777 or 888 it might have been. I'm on the cash report. Showdown content from our man Little Neck for the featured games at night, projections, ownership, updated throughout, DVP rankings. It is all numbers, automated based. You can find that for the full year. I'd recommend checking out the last 2 weeks. Means a little more education video. If you're trying to find a process, we have them for 5 different sports. NBA, you can listen to that as well. All of that, again, if you want to be a member, shipination.com. Join the Nation right here. You can get in as low as $9 for the day. You can get in for 5 days for $19. That'll get you PGA action, MMA action, NHL, and NASCAR. So I think that's probably the best deal. And Saber Sim and Discord. Definitely the best deal right there. If you do just want NBA content to finish out the year, single sport NBA, you can find the multiple deals right there. So we would love to have you at the Nation. Definitely do join the Discord if you do join us. All right, back to it. Last game of the night. Definitely a game getting a little bit of ownership / a lot of ownership on the OKC side for value. That is because there is no Shea, but I'm jumping ahead of myself. First, in terms of the spread, let me scroll down quick. Where am I? That's tomorrow. 10.5 point favorites of the Thunder. 230.5 total in this one. Again, on the OKC side, no SGA, no Hartenstein. On the Chicago side, no Anthony Simons, and then no new injuries to talk about there. But yeah, no Hartenstein and no SGA leads. Let me go like this. 8.5K Chet, 7.8K Giddey, 6.7K Matas, and then the whole game is under 6K. So again, it's very easy to spend up, or when you do spend up for studs, this is a game that you probably are going to get to some because, I mean, there's a lot of value, and it's not really center value on this game, which again, a lot of solid center value on the slate. So yeah, I guess you can go any which way, but I'm curious to see how you rake some of this OKC value. Still implied for 119 points without 2 of their better players.
Yeah, that was kind of the first thing that stood out to me. I think this is going to be a spot you probably need 2 OKC guys, I would think. Just a 119 implied total is really good. So I think there's a really good chance that there's a couple of these guys that, make themselves heard from tonight offensively and just fantasy-wise. And we've kind of seen the story a few times this season for OKC. We know that Jalen Williams is probably going to get the start, probably play really good minutes. He's the guy that I have the most interest in as the top value for OKC. At just 5.1K, I think that's a good price tag for him. Averaging 27.2 DK points per game as a starter, but he's gone for 51.5 and 56 DK points in his last 2 starts. So that's nobody is catching up to that as a value play. I don't really think anybody else has the same type of upside that he has. So definitely think Jalen is really good. Next, I would be looking at Case and Wallace. Seeing the price come down a little bit after a stretch of really, really good games. I think it's a great matchup for him. The guards on the other side of this game are pretty turnover prone and just not very good defensively. So I think that he's set up for a lot of success here. And then Jared McCain should be getting more minutes, and he's been flashing a bit of upside lately for OKC. I think that he might be a little bit the variance for him is a little bit wider because he's more so just asked to score the ball right now. He's not really adding like assists and rebounds. They have enough guys that can fill in those spots. So I'm not crazy about him at super high ownership, but he looks okay in like the mid-teens. After that, I think it's Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe as the next guys I'm looking to. Wiggins, I think, is a little bit better there at 4.5K with the small forward, power forward eligibility. Just good positional stuff that we usually prefer to spend down at small forward, power forward. So I think he's pretty good. And then my least favorite guys would be Lou Dort, Caruso, and Kenrich Williams. I like Chet for sure as an upside play at 8.5K. Just don't really know if the minutes are going to be super crazy. I believe this is the front end of a back-to-back and that tomorrow is a more important game. Want to double-check who they're playing, but this is a game that they should win pretty handedly. But I definitely think that there is a world where Chet goes for
Knicks tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, so definitely a big game tomorrow. So I would be surprised if Chet's in like the 28-minute range, maybe even lower, honestly, and they play some of these other guys. They did sign somebody named Peyton Sandfort they might play him a little bit. We've seen Brooks Barnheiser get mixed in there a little bit as well. So yeah, I think it's pretty easy to get away from Chet, Dort, and Caruso as the guys that they'll need down the stretch in the season. Kaysen, you could even say the same thing, but I feel like his role is going to be pretty good. And even in like 30 to 32 minutes could really pop off for a big game. But yeah, Jalen Williams, clear top value play on OKC. And I feel like he is, what's his ownership currently at right now?
We're showing 24.96, the average in the flagship, and that'll go to 44 possibly.
Yeah, I mean, if it's mid-20s in the flagship, that's pretty good. High stakes is going to be way higher. Yeah, probably closer to like 35.
Because he's got power forward eligibility, which is huge.
Yeah. Still feel pretty fine about him at high ownership. I just feel like he's very safe tonight, and nobody can match his upside in that same range. So really, really fine with him. As for the Bulls side of things, it's just not a great matchup for them. We saw Josh Giddey, his minutes come up last game, went off for a triple-double, so he showed the upside that we were used to seeing from him earlier in the season. They've said that the minutes restriction is off for Giddey and Trey Jones, but they still have a lot of depth on guys that can guard these better guards on the other side. So like Kaysen Wallace, Lou Dort, Caruso, all healthy tonight, should be the guys that are going to be on Josh Giddey. So I'm not super excited about him in this spot, even with the minutes coming up. Same thing for Trey Jones. His upside is just a bit capped. I think where I'm looking to on the Bulls side of things would be Nick Richards at 4.3K. I think that they'll need more size, and we've seen OKC get much worse as a rebounding team when you take off Isaiah Hartenstein. So the double-double upside is pretty appealing for a guy like Nick Richards. I want to like Montas Buzelis. Price is way up there, though, and I just think that the defenders that he's going to be faced are just going to be too good. So I'm pretty low on the Bulls as a whole. Do like my guy Leonard Miller, though. He's been playing great as of late, seeing more minutes, and he's actually a really, really good per-minute producer and not getting enough ownership, I don't think. So 4.2K for a guy with power forward, small forward, power forward eligibility, definitely something I'm interested in.
Great breakdown. I don't really have too much more to add. I mean, I was going to say pretty much no Bulls, but yeah, you're Leonard Miller. I feel like you've talked about him for like weeks now. 0.93, not bad. 4,200, definitely will be a lower owned than a lot of OKC stuff. Some other value on this slate like Crit and Grimes, so he's a pivot there. Oh, the one thing I was going to ask, you see Chandler Parsons saying like Jared McCain, like he has that James Johnson like fighting skill in him? Is that you think he's talking legit?
I mean, that would mean he'd be like a black belt in something, which I don't know if he is or not. But like James Johnson is a legit MMA fighter.
Yeah, I mean, but just him saying that, like obviously compared to James Johnson is definitely a high level. I don't know if it's grappling, judo. I don't know, the guy you don't really want to mess with, but that'd be really cool. I mean, to be at that, like to be that good at NBA, to be that good at two different things is really hard. Like that takes a big time commitment in life and stuff. So I've just been thinking about that, and I couldn't find any fact checks when I was checking. All right,
good at making TikToks too and painting his nails.
Yeah, I did see that. That's gonna do it for us. Hour 10 talking this 8-game slate. Again, all of our content will be up at the Nation. Check out Rio Slate Plan under NBA Slate Plan, Core Report, Matt, Ham, and Rio, Cash, myself. Showdown content from Little Neck if you aren't able to play the main slate. Final thoughts for you, Rio, before we get on out of here?
No, I was just going to say that I think Leonard Miller is probably closer to 1 fantasy point per minute than he is 0.9. Maybe land somewhere in the middle for the matchup, but I do think that he's a little bit higher than what Saber and some of these other projection sites are giving him. But yeah, nothing else really to add. Always fun breaking down the slates with you. I'm looking forward to hopefully a big night. I know we got some guys in the 888 tonight. Was able to pick up 2 tickets. Maybe I'll grab 2 more. You know, DraftKings always wants to entice you with those promos that aren't very good, but we'll see. Maybe I'll toss in 1 or 2 more.
Hey, there we go, Rio. I'll be on the lookout in the leaderboards for you. I know our man Matt will be in there as well, looking to take something down. Appreciate everyone. Again, congrats to you, Colin. That is awesome stuff. Good luck. Again, shout out Rob Jack for a big night in the NBA streets yesterday. Shout out Rio for taking down the $100 single entry. And shout out Yobi for the $6 that he gifted us. We'll be back tomorrow, Rio and Matt, talking some hoops. Be safe. Good luck tonight for Rio on title. Be safe. Peace.